In this video, we're going to be specifically talking about why you should be investing in precious metals in 2024. So let's get to reason number one to be buying gold and silver right now. Hedge against inflation. We all feel it, right? The inflation is through the roof. Last report was it was up 3.4% or something like that, but we all know it's much higher. They changed the way they calculate the CPI, and if it was still calculated the way it used to be calculated, we'd be like over 10% by now, likely. And I have unfortunate news for you. I don't think inflation is going anywhere but up. We are literally at the point of no return with fiat money systems. Here's a graph of our national debt. We were doing pretty good until we left the gold standard in 1971. We accrued like less than $500 billion in debt in the first 200 years. In the last 50 years, we have accrued over $34 trillion. That's more than 68 times the debt in a quarter of the time. Even worse, almost 20 trillion of that 34 trillion has been done in the last 10 years. So obviously, we are going in debt deeper and faster each year, as you can see by the graph. And if you know anything about the history of money, you know how this leads to inflation, which then leads to hyperinflation, and then this leads to the collapse of the currency and people running back to gold and silver. Currency devaluation. Here is a chart of the devaluation of the US dollar. And again, notice what has happened since 1971 when we went to 100% fiat currency. This is outrageous, but it's nothing new. We've seen this in history time and time again. Countries start with real money, gold and silver. This has happened for thousands of years. They grow, right? They build social programs and they build militaries and they eventually go to war and put those militaries to use. They have wars, which are very expensive. They can't afford these things. So what happens? Very few are going to come out in a good spot when all of this is said and done. Those with gold and silver will be much better off, that is for sure. Growing investor interest. I mean, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, considering the recent rises in gold and silver prices. And the prices are starting to go up because people are starting to wake up. People are finally starting to realize how we are. Our awesome economy is completely fueled by debt, and the hammer is going to drop at any point here. It can't go on forever like this. Increase in technological and industrial demand. Now, silver specifically has significant industrial uses like, electronics, solar panels, and many other things. And that's why I personally believe that silver is going to absolutely explode. Of course, combined with the fact that it's been extremely suppressed for like the last 40, 45 years or so. And silver, don't forget, it's also the best conductor of heat and electricity, so it's indispensable. People really sleep on silver. Central banks are still buying massive amounts of gold, and they have been for a long time now, for many years now. One of the biggest lessons that my parents taught me growing up was you don't pay attention to what people are saying, you pay attention to what they are doing. Follow actions, not words. Actions are everything, and central banks are buying shitloads of gold. They know exactly what is going on before everyone else does, and they have for many years now. And honestly, this is probably, even with everything else going on, one of my biggest catalysts and why I've been buying gold over the past few years especially. It really tells me everything that I need to know about where the prices for gold are going, and it should do the same for you. So look, make sure you prepare for what is coming. The central banks surely are. That's for sure. That's for certain.